All right, guys, so it is Friday, and the market's going to open here in a little bit more than 15 minutes. So we had a long position here. If you saw on Instagram, uh, right about here, we got in on gold and got in up here right at this level that we are now retesting. And so we're going to get in another long position. I didn't get a recording of the entry, um, but it's all good. I was just a little busy and um, just didn't really get around to it. But all it was really uh, we were within this sort of general range here because we have a key level here on the hourly chart, you can see. Um, and it was just a lot of bouncing around, a lot of indecision. And after this, when it looked apparent that we would, um, after this bearish candle, that we'd pull back and then move lower, we didn't, and we kind of broke above and broke out of that structure. And so after this bullish candle close on the next candle, we got in, and we're just targeting this high up here. But again, uh, for this entry here, what's really simple now is we've had this 4 hour zone here for quite some time. We have a lot of instances of respecting the zone, but we now have broken above it, and we came back down to retest it as support. Whereas all these other times we were respecting it as resistance, we're now retesting it as support. And so what we're doing is we're just getting into a long position here, right? So we came down this bearish candle. Um, we came down below, but we closed within. We made a pretty large bottom wick, and this new candle is now coming up and has broken the high of the previous bearish candle. So just a really simple entry. It's just a retest um, of a key 4 hour level, right? And as far as our target goes, this is a pretty big ratio here, um, but we're generally just looking for a move up towards the top of this zone. We could actually move it down a little bit. We don't want to be too greedy there, but anything around the top of this up here. Obviously, long term, we're very bullish on gold. We are expecting gold to continue moving up, right? On the daily chart here, daily candle, we have obviously a very high volume, very bullish candle close, and then this current open candle, we have moved to the downside, and it now looks like we are starting to wick to the upside. So this could be creating a bottom wick in order for us to move bullish and maybe close bullish. So with that being said, we'd probably um, get anywhere from at least above this wick here of the previous daily candle to this wick here. So relatively close to our take profit. So just a really simple, pretty simple setup here. Now with this, a lot of people would maybe be a little bit opposed to just getting in right away here, because this could just keep selling off, right? That sort of idea. But with a support like this, what you could always do is wait for an initial reaction, right? Which would be this. So we get the bottom wick here after dropping down into the support, then a big bullish candle. If this candle closes nicely, maybe we move up a little bit more and we come down and get another retest of this zone. That could be another way to enter a long position. So, maybe we come up a little bit more and, you know, come down and retest. That could be another way for us, excuse me, to get into another long position, right? So that would be a less risky way, but I'm fine just doing it this way. So anyway, just a really simple setup. We've moved up a little bit already since we've gotten in, but um, yeah, I know there's sometimes when I don't get uh, trades on video, but sometimes I just don't have a whole lot to say about it, um, and it's really no big deal. I mean, we had a small win in here, and we had a small loss here as well. If there's really nothing to talk about, I typically don't really want to make a video on. I know there usually is with every position, but just sometimes it doesn't seem very helpful, right? So, but this seems like a nice um, you know helpful setup that's an easy learning trade to learn from here. So anyway, all right, guys. So you can see our trade that we got in has reached our target now. So this was a really nice trade, really easy, really simple. We did, I believe I mentioned the possibility of a pullback into this zone or just a nice structure with a nice pullback to get into a second entry. We did get that. It wasn't entirely a simple re-entry, but could have been a nice place. We have a little sort of mini zone here. Could have been a nice place maybe for a re-entry if we missed the initial one right here. But either way, still a really simple, nice setup. We didn't have any drawdown at all, which is awesome. But yeah, let's just go over this really quick. So, right, so what we got, obviously, we've been talking on the last couple videos about this zone that we have been in for quite some time. Just obviously accumulation is how we are identifying this, because we are clearly in an uptrend. We have been for quite some time, and we will be for the um, foreseeable future at this point. Um, Gold, whenever we have instability in the world and in economies and political instability, gold always rallies and continues in some sort of uptrend. And this is just a large scale. I mean, this goes back, I think, yeah, April. This goes back to April. And so we were just in this really frustrating pattern. And to a certain extent, we still are. Um, Obviously, we had some pretty annoying trades within here. Not too many really big notable ones. We had some small ones within here and here as well, but most of them were sort of closed early with pretty small profits, nothing too crazy. Um, However, if we're looking at this from more of a swing trading perspective, um, looking at zooming out to a daily chart like this and looking at this, this is clearly our key daily level here, right? Relative to this entire price action. And so looking for what we could do, and I have been sort of starting to maneuver and somewhat transition into more of this, is to look for more of swing positions, right? This is not a swing position. I would just call this an intraday position, which is really, this is how I began learning how to trade. And then I transitioned into more of a um, day trading US 30 scalping type approach. And I still am a fan of that. It's just that as of recent, I have found a lot more consistency and more consistent winners and nice trades uh, doing this with gold. And so, but what I want to focus on in the near future is more positions like this, where you enter a much smaller position, but let's say here, right? Enter a long position here where, maybe let's say we just target up there. This is just all hypothetical. Where once we have this nice support established, and we are still very bullish on gold, right, we get a really nice move back down into the support. We get a bullish close on the next daily candle. We could wait for the new daily candle to break above the previous daily candle or close above the previous daily candle with a stop below the lows down here, maybe extend it a little bit lower in case we get some wicks. Or once we get that and we get a second move to the upside, the only issue is this high didn't break the previous high. That was just something I believe I mentioned in a previous video. Um, but what the point I'm trying to make is we could be looking for entries down here at the bottom relative lows of very large zones if we're in an uptrend. Um, and so, yeah, we had some other smaller trades within here, and that's sort of, again, my preference is instead of trying to be in this entire trade from entire move, enter a trade somewhere down here, we get a couple smaller long positions within this, and we sort of try to miss out on the higher, larger scale pullbacks, right? But anyway, regarding this specific trade, so we talked very quite a while ago about how this, if you remember back in April, was a key 4-hour level, and we violated it here, but we still were generally respecting it. So if we go down to a 4-hour, yeah, you can see this. This was from a previous video, right? We got into a gold short here, about right here, I believe, back in May, and the issue was we didn't, we closed our short position here, which was pretty stupid. But the thing is, you never really know, because this could have ended up, this pullback into this zone could have ended up being just like this. The only difference is obviously we came down much lower, but it's always easy to look back after the fact, right? But anyway, so we missed out on part of that. But overall, the point is, this was a key level that has been respected generally. And so I sort of was identifying we have, okay, and this daily level is very appropriate and relevant on the 4 hour as well. We have our key support down here. We need a key resistance that's going to be relatively the top of the zone, right? Now, obviously, we can mark this level up here because we are approaching it, so that's going to be relevant coming up here in the next maybe 2 or 3 hours. Um, but this zone has had many touches, right? And so once we get our move back up, obviously we had long position down here as well. Once we get our move back up to sort of, it looks like we're going to be breaking out of this level to continue our uptrend now. Once we get our move back up towards the top, this level, right, breaking through it, we are going to anticipate a retest as support, okay? And that's exactly what we get. Um, and so obviously, yeah, that was, we talked about that on the entry. We get a move above, a strong push above, and then what do we get? We get a pullback into our level, and we look at the price action once we reach this key support, right? Because obviously this support has been or this level has been respected as resistance multiple times, and then the only time it was violated when it broke above, it was pretty much immediately corrected and went down to the bottom of the zone again. So we break above and we get a pullback, and when we look at the price action once we enter the zone, we get a bearish candle that comes down pretty far below the zone but wicks and closes within, and the new candle immediately starts to go up. So at that point, that is in my opinion, a relatively low risk long position because this candle, so if we look at a 2 hour chart, it might, yeah, not as good of an example, but the point is, right, this is a very key, very strong level, and we show some sort of response, right, resistance to this, right? So we pull back into the support, we wick, still close bearish, but the next candle, we get in on the way up, but we completely, if you wanted to be more safe, um, you know, we could have waited for this candle to close, because that would have been very bullish at that point, but again, I was very comfortable just having my stop below here. And then, yeah, our target was simply, yeah, was simply up here at this level. Sometimes I'm not a huge fan of going all the way up to a very top, like a peak of a level. I sort of want to pick an area like this where it has many touches, um, right? Like we could obviously still reach this level. I'm not discounting that. It's just that I sometimes will prefer, if I have about a 3 to 1, a nice ratio, I will sometimes lower um, the standard of my target in order to pick a level that has many touches and has been respected. So that was why we picked roughly this level here. Um, and yeah, just a really simple trade. Again, looking at the more US 30 scalping approach, right? We have a nice resistance here that is broken with a bullish candle. That could have been some sort of scalp entry to get in on. But again, like I said, I've been enjoying the way I've been looking at gold a lot more recently. It's not that I abandoned my old, that my other way of looking at things. It's just sort of when something's working well for you, you really are obligated to stick to it. that type of thing. But anyway, just a really simple trade. I hope that all makes sense. Um, Again, it's just really simple structure. I mean, really simple structure. We know we're in an uptrend, right? We know we're only going to be long term looking for moves to the upside. Obviously, we have some short biases within the zone, like this was a wonderful place to go short here on the 4 hour chart. But again, our bias is still bullish. And so all we're doing is identifying key levels, key zones, and trading the price action relative to those zones. It sounds really simple. It's a lot harder to do than it sounds, but again, my whole idea is trying to make things more simple, right? We always overcomplicate everything, and so that's just sort of my philosophy here. But anyway, yeah, we could maybe extend this target a little bit more, and close partial and leave a little bit open. But I'm just completely out of this at this point. I will be interested waiting for another pullback, right? Um, I'm not, you don't want to be going long here whatsoever. Um, And yeah, I'm just gonna be waiting for another pullback and maybe give it until later tonight or tomorrow morning and sort of reassess and see where we are. And yeah, I mean, daily chart, right? We break up, close really nicely, and then next daily candle, pull back within a little bit below the key level, close with a small body, so that's showing some weakness in terms of bearishness. And then next candle, right, we have a bottom wick, and then once we establish a bottom wick, we just kind of lift off, right? So anyway, really simple price action, and yeah, we'll see where it goes from there.